Hey y'all, it's Rick here with Uncommon Communion. I am glad that you are joining me on this Tuesday evening. Going to do my regular post here in a little while, but before that, I wanted to jump in because I am pissed about something. And that's something you're not going to hear come out of my mouth very often. Before I share about that, I want to center us and help us to always remember that we are always and everywhere in the holy presence of God and each other. I wasn't sure what I was going to do as a podcast this evening or a video this evening until I heard Glenn Kirshner this evening in his live. And his anger and his righteous anger and the F-bombs that he dropped, which I'm not going to do here, y'all. I just want to say that right up front. I don't like that word. I don't use that word very often. Sometimes it has to be said, but I'm not going to say that here just because that's me. Understand, though, that the anger is there. Glenn this evening, if you don't follow Glenn Kirshner, I'll try to put a link to his podcast here in the notes. He was talking about the despicable ruling that the Supreme Court had today that was a 6-3 decision, and it is allowing tRump, the dictator, the potential pedophile, right? It is allowing him to gut the education agency. And here's the thing, y'all, about this absolutely rogue, ridiculous, despicable Supreme Court is they put this decision out with no explanation, right? That is in their power to do so. Typically, though, they will put an explanation because, again, what the Supreme Court does is should be part of precedent. It should be part of the buildup of laws over time and so forth. They put nothing out. Those who voted in the majority, the 6 right-wing MAGA, 3 of whom were appointed by Trump, right, voted to allow this. And here's the thing, y'all, why this is despicable. And it actually goes with another story that is in the same vein that I also wanted to vent about tonight a little bit. Is this, y'all, the Department of Education is about kids. It's about children. It is about the neediest children in America, whether they have financial needs, whether they have educational needs as far as special education, whether they need help going to college. It is about children. And to say that you are a party that is about life and unborn and children, and to do something like this, to support this, is an absolute despicable, shameful, sinful, evil thing to do. Because it is about hurting those in most need. If that wasn't enough, y'all, I got to share this other story with you. I'm going to put the link to this into the notes. And it is at The Atlantic. If you do not look at The Atlantic or do not subscribe to The Atlantic, I highly recommend it. They have some of the best reporting. They have an excellent app that I use on my Android. It is top notch. Well, they broke a story today, and I'm going to put it in as a gift article, a link. And what this means is that you don't need to be a subscriber to read this. One of the drawbacks about The Atlantic is that it is pretty pricey, and they don't allow you to pay it, to my knowledge, month to month. So it is actually a pretty expensive, it's like $70 a year. In my opinion, it's worth it. Although, full disclosure, my wife's an educator. If you are an educator or a student, you do get a pretty good break on that. So I use my wife's account. But here's the story, y'all. And I want to just read a little bit from it. So remember that one of the very first thing tRump did was to gut USAID, right? We've talked about that before. It is essentially virtually gone. Well, here's what they're about to do. Tomorrow, apparently, they're about to incinerate, to burn, to turn to ash, to destroy 500 tons of emergency food. 500 tons. Now, here's why tomorrow they're planning to do it, because the expiration date is tomorrow. It is sitting in a warehouse in, let me see here, in Dubai is where it is, a Dubai warehouse. And people in the administration who oversee this has been telling the power that be, the dictator in chief and his minions, that this needs to be sent. This could be sent. This must be sent, or it's going to be wasted. It's going to be destroyed. And they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything to do that. Now, would it have cost money to send that to Gaza, to feed the kids there, to send it somewhere? And these are, I've heard about these bars. I forget what they're called, but they're like a peanut butter substance, kind of a peanut butter concentrated. They are high energy, high protein. They are life-saving food. And they did not send it anywhere. They, meaning the tRump. I don't even know what word to use at this point. Demons, maybe. Maybe that's the best word, right? And here's the thing about this, y'all. So you might say, yeah, it's going to cost some money if they had sent that somewhere. Well, guess what? We already spent money on this, and this is a little bit further in the article. I want to read this here. And again, I encourage you to read this article. Here's what they said, is $800,000 was spent by you and me, taxpayers, to buy this, and it's going to cost $130,000 to destroy it. Now, to send it somewhere, obvious, to feed children, to save lives, obviously would have cost more than $130,000. Yes, but to destroy it cost money too. Which is the better way to spend money? Which is the better way? This is what is quoted in the article, that this is the writer of who I think broke the story. One current USAID staffer told me he'd never seen anywhere near this many biscuits trashed over the decades working in American foreign aid. Sometimes food isn't stored properly, it gets destroyed, it gets damaged. A few dozen tons of fortified foods. But several of the aid workers I spoke with reiterated that they had never seen the US government simply give up on food that could have been put to good use. Y'all, there's a plan here. This is intentional. This is a plan to hurt children, to turn our backs on the vulnerable. And that's evil. That's wicked, if you want to use the terminology that the Christian right, the nationalists like to use. But here's the thing, y'all. Here's the thing. If you're following the Epstein story, it is continuing to go. And actually, I think today was significant, because even though he voted in the House to not demand that the files be released, the Epstein files, right? Mike Johnson, soon after that, Speaker of the House, said the files must come out. I think that's going to mean that there is going to be some action on this. Maybe not right away, but the MAGA faithful, the cult members, they will not stand this. And ultimately, y'all, maybe tRump is implicated in it. Maybe some of his friends are. But the question is, what are they covering up? And I think we are seeing some of MAGA breaking down. And here's why I think the two stories that I mentioned, in the very clear, specific ways that they hurt children, and they seem very un-American, at least the kind of America that I grew up in, the kind of America you grew up in, the kind of America we want for our children and our grandchildren. There may be openings in talking to MAGA-ites who are becoming disillusioned, who are recognizing finally that Trump has been lying to them also, right? I'm not in that world of MAGA, but from hearing people who are reporting on that, apparently this Epstein thing is the most important thing that is on their minds, because there's this obsession with protecting the children from pedophiles, and this is all about that. There's this obsession with exposing the deep state and all of these cover-ups and all of that stuff, and this is all about that. So they're not going to give up on this. the truth will come out, and it is going to be ugly, ugly, ugly. But again, y'all, there may be people in your family, people that you know who have been diehard Trumpistas, Trump cult members, that maybe now you can start talking and sharing the truth with them, that their eyes can be opened to truly see what horrific, horrendous, evil things are being done, and just insane things. Destroying 500 tons of food that could be used to feed kids is insane. What kind of monsters do that? But talking with those MAGAites to say, oh, by the way, here's a couple stories, and to just put them out there and to say, this is fact, this is true. What do you think? Is this what you want? Is this what you voted for? My guess is if they have a decent heart, if there's, even if they're the Grinch whose heart is, a little bit of coal, as the story says, could it grow a little bit, be softened to be able to stand up against this madness? My last thought here, y'all, about standing up against the madness. Thursday, day after tomorrow, is another rally, another protest, another action in the spirit of the great John Lewis. We're calling it Causing Good Trouble. Please find a place, get out and speak, get out and disrupt peacefully, loudly, with verve and enthusiasm. Do that. Do that. Y'all, it's a lot, but I think we are at a precipice, a tipping point where things may change. Let's end with the serenity prayer. Always a good thing for me to be able to know what I can change and what I can't change. So say with me, if you will, God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I like to end it, thy will, not ours, be done. Well, that's it, y'all. Be gentle, be well, blessing, and good. We'll see you again soon.